Let us help you reach your peak in retirement. It's time for Retirement Elevated with Sean Lee.
Welcome to the Retirement Elevated podcast with Sean P. Lee. I am your host. I am Sean Lee, managing partner of Elevated Retirement Group here in Salt Lake City. And I'm really excited about today's podcast. It's the first one of the new year. It is the first one that I've been able to record since we got back from the break. And it's the first one that we're really going to talk about all the craziness in the markets. But more importantly, today's topics are, what should an advisor really be doing for you? You know, this is a time of year where New Year's resolutions come into play, and there's a lot of people that, hey, I'm going to commit to working out, or I'm going to commit to getting my finances in order, or I'm going to commit to this or that. And so this really brought an idea to mind that, what should your advisor really be doing for you? If you're looking to find an advisor, if you're looking to change your financial lifestyle coming into 2019, what should your advisor be doing? Because there are a lot of different advisors, there are a lot of different ideas and philosophies and viewpoints and licenses and all that jargon that comes with it in this industry. There are over 1 million licensed people in the financial services industry, so it's really hard to kind of wade through. What should an advisor do? What should I expect of my advisor? What type of service should I receive? So that's what I wanted to talk about today. And if you're a first-time listener to the podcast, you can download the podcast on Stitcher or iTunes podcasts or Podomatic. Wherever you get your podcast information, you can find Retirement Elevated with Sean Lee there. Or you can just reach out to us direct. You can go to our website at elevatemyretirement.com or give us a shout at 801-639-0095. So let's get down to it. I was having a discussion the other day with one of our advisors here at the office, and we're talking about expectations. And expectations are different for everybody. Sean, I want to get 5%, or Sean, I want to get 12%, and Sean, I want to get 8% with no risk. There's all these different expectations, but in a lot of cases, people go into this advisory relationship or in an advisory relationship with the wrong mindset, I think. Now, the mindset is, in a lot of cases, is, well, what can you do? What sort of returns can you get us? What sort of investments are you going to use? Tell me about your strategies or past performance and things like that. Where in my mind, I think we may be focusing on the wrong things. The investment strategies are really important, and making sure that you have the right mix for what you're comfortable with risk-wise, or what you're comfortable with allocation-wise, or what you're comfortable with investment-wise. But I don't know if that's always the right viewpoint to have. We were having a discussion around, hey, Sean, I met with this individual, and they jumped right into, well, what sort of investment strategies are you going to use that's different? What are you going to do that's different than my current advisor, and how are you going to get me better returns, or how are you going to make sure that I don't lose money? In my mind, that's the wrong route to go, because there's not clarity there. There's not a lot of clarity around, what does your plan really need? And if you've been listening, or you know me well, or you're a client of ours, you know that our viewpoint isn't necessarily on the investment strategies, the investment products, the investment vehicles. It's all around a process. So when we have discussions and I look at, what should an advisor do for you? Look at a process. Really simply, look for a process that an advisor is going to walk you through to ensure that the decisions that you make are right for you. And a process is there, and a process is designed to help you achieve simplicity and confidence during your retirement. I equate it to an airline pilot, where I travel back east to visit family, or we travel quite a bit to conferences and things like that. And if I were to get on the plane and an airline pilot jumped on the telecom and he's like, hey, well, I want to welcome everybody here. We're really excited about this flight. Just so you know, we've got an 80% probability that we're going to land. As a passenger on that plane, I don't know if I'm going to feel comfortable with that. I want to know that the person that's navigating and controlling the aircraft that I'm on, who's responsible for my life, is going to do everything in their power to give me a really high probability of success when it comes to landing the plane. Not an 80% probability, because I don't like that other 20%. I want a really high probability of success. And that's what a process is designed to do when it comes to building your financial plan. Building a plan that allows you to navigate those waters of retirement confidently and with complete knowledge that, hey, this is how my plan is structured. These are the variables that could potentially happen. And these are the things that are out of our control. These are the things that are in my control. And this is how I'm confidently and clearly going to create my roadmap for retirement. So what does that look like? And I'll really walk through our process because I feel like our process is designed to focus around 5 key areas of your current financial life. And once you get into view those 5 key areas and you've built a plan or design around them, then you've got a really clearly defined income plan and a strategy that you can follow. You're less apt, if you've got a clearly defined plan, to make changes based on emotion, but you can confidently move into that next phase of retirement. So the first area is income planning. Income planning is kind of the foundational piece, the driving piece that look at creating an income strategy based on your specific goals, desires, and needs. A clearly defined income plan will help you manage the daunting task of incorporating all of your income sources to be in harmony with all of your retirement expense needs. Now, inside of an income plan, it includes the following areas. A detailed breakdown of expense needs, end dates, retirement phasing strategies. Are there employer pensions, Social Security timing and optimization strategies? What about inflation, longevity, and then survivor planning, kind of those unknowns? And then how do we withdraw the money? Because how you withdraw money matters. The types of accounts you withdraw from, the taxable expenses, what types of accounts you withdraw from, that matters. So focusing on those 5, the first area of income planning, you really want to get a clearly defined strategy around that. What are my expenses? What are my needs? What are my sources of income? And how am I going to solve that gap? And what sort of withdrawal strategy am I going to have? From there, once you figure that out, you can then go into the investment side. Your investment strategy just needs to work in harmony with your income plan. Yes, it's important to focus on time horizon, risk tolerance, etc. But when you start to look at your investment strategy, it needs to be specific to your goals. Nobody else's, what your goals are, and what your income strategy needs to accomplish for you. Now, because we are an independent firm, it allows us to select different tools that are best suited to fit your needs. But more importantly, we work to align with the fiduciary standard of care. Now, when we look at investment planning, what does that look like? Well, it includes assessing your risk tolerance and more importantly, your risk capacity. What's your comfort level with fluctuation? Do you want to see no more than a 7% drawdown or no more than a 20% drawdown, whatever that may be? You need to make sure that your portfolio works in concert with your income plans. You need to create strategies that allow income from your portfolio in both good and bad markets. If you look at the last 4 months, it's been a really uneasy time. We need to have flexibility in a plan, and when you're looking at finding the right advisor, flexibility in your plan to create income in both good and bad markets. But then also have comprehensive institutional money management on the back end. So what does that mean? It means going direct to the source. Instead of buying AT&T or Apple or Verizon in a mutual fund, why not just go ahead and buy AT&T, Verizon, Apple through an institutional wealth management, a separately managed account where you own the stocks directly. It historically shows greater tax efficiency, and now you're going direct and greater cost efficiency. Now, once you have your income plan and your investment strategy built, then you can move on to tax planning. And I would argue that strategic tax planning when it comes to withdrawal strategies would be potentially one of the most important pieces of your plan. And any comprehensive retirement plan will include a strategy for addressing your taxes. And what does this look like? What does this include? You need to assess the taxable nature of your current holdings. How are your accounts going to be taxed? What does that look like to you from a tax perspective? Strategizing ways to include tax-deferred or tax-free money into your plan. Do you sequentially pull money out where you say, hey, I'm going to pull money out of my taxable money first, and then I'll pull money out of my tax-deferred, and then my tax-free later? Or do you pull money out simultaneously where you're pulling it out of those areas all at the same time to reduce your taxable burden? And then you leverage your potential tax planning ideas. Do we leverage your qualified money to potentially leave tax-free dollars to your beneficiaries? So what happens when it comes to tax planning is this. Hey, in most cases, not all, Let's pull out money from your post-tax money, your non-qualified money first, your after-tax money. Then we'll let your pre-tax money just defer out, and then we'll pull it out. Well, when you're starting to look at legacy planning and income planning, that might not be the best strategy to take. It might be better to simultaneously pull money out and then look at long-term ways to efficiently pass assets to your kids. So that's what we're talking about, leveraging your qualified money to potentially leave tax-free dollars down the road. Fourth area that an advisor should help you with is healthcare planning. Now, inside of healthcare planning, you need to create a plan to help you protect yourself against rising healthcare costs, which means that you look at all aspects of Medicare's, parts A, B, and D. But then also, if long-term care is a concern, analyzing all of the options that are available to protect yourself from a long-term care need. There's not one right magic bullet when it comes to long-term care. There's lots of different options, whether it's self-funding or using a standalone long-term care policy, or it's life insurance with long-term care or annuity with long-term care provisions. There's not one magic bullet that accomplishes the need for everybody. It's really based on what your comfort levels are with the different tools that are out there and how do they fit inside of your plan. And the fifth area that we look at is estate planning. Now, it's important to ensure that any of your remaining assets move smoothly to beneficiaries according to your wishes and specific needs of your beneficiaries. I can't tell you how many times I've gone through the estate planning section with the families that we're working with, and it's, oh, don't worry, I'm just going to leave it to the kids. I'm not going to give them any guidance, or they spend it, it's all up to them. Don't, Sean, my kids are on my accounts already. There's a lot of estate planning myths and misconceptions that are out there that could potentially cause irreparable harm to you while you're still alive, or inefficiently pass assets to the next generation. So inside of that, we decide that we're working collaboratively with a qualified estate planning attorney, and our goal will be to help you with a number of different areas. First is to maximize your estate and income tax planning opportunities. How do we make sure that these assets are moving efficiently to the next generation? And if there are ways that we can make them more efficient, how do we do that? Protect any assets in your trust and ensure they're distributed to your beneficiaries probate free. And then protect your IRA and qualified accounts from being fully taxable to your beneficiaries upon death. All of these areas that we talk about just come down to proper planning. And when we look at proper planning, I think I talked about this in the last podcast. What does that look like? What are the most successful people in retirement? What do they have? What have they done? Who have they worked with? What steps have they taken? And the most successful people in retirement, it's not who they work with, it's how they delegate. It's the teams that they delegate to. And those teams that the most successful people delegate to are, hey, I'm going to delegate to a CPA to do my taxes. I'm going to delegate to an estate planning attorney to run my estate plan. And I'm going to delegate to an advisor who builds a holistic, customizable financial and retirement income plan. Like I said earlier, there are a lot of advisors out there, but when you're going down this road and what should an advisor do for you? An advisor should focus on the 5 key areas that are most important, in my mind, to your financial plan. An advisor should focus on income planning, investment planning, tax planning, healthcare planning, and work with an estate planning attorney to handle your estate planning. Little food for thought going into 2019. I want to thank everybody for listening today. Once again, if you want to find us on our podcast, you can go to Stitcher, iTunes podcast, you can go to Podomatic, you can find us in a number of areas. If you just want to reach out to us directly, go ahead and reach out to us at 801-639-0095. Just give the office a shout and we can answer any questions that you have. Or just go to elevatemyretirement.com and you can reach out to us there. Hope this was beneficial. Have a great start to the year. We look forward to talking to you next week. All the best.
Investment advisory services offered through Elevated Capital Advisors, LLC, and SEC